and gentlemen, presenting the 235-member Michigan Marching Band. And take the field. Under the direction of Professor Jamie L. Nix, the M Fanfare.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Anwar Yusuf Dunbar, and this is Big Discussions 76 Sports. First of all, please like this video. I'm sorry. This is not a video. This is a live stream. Please like this live stream. Please share it. And please subscribe to my channel. I need to get better at all the branding and stuff. I need to get better at showing my logos and everything, because this logo branding is a really, really important part of business. Let me add that picture. Give me a second here, guys. Branding is a really, really important part of business, whichever business you get into. And it's tax season, so I actually formed an LLC around my my writing, my blog, and those kinds of things. And my YouTube fits under that umbrella as well. So this is the logo, Big Discussion 76 Sports. My brother Amal Dunbar, shout out to him. He put this together. So that's my logo. So guys, I know as much as you want to do it, we're gonna give old khaki pants a rest today. I've gotten lots and lots of articles sent to my smartphone, and I intend to catch us up on what's going on with our winged helmets. But we're gonna give Jim a break today. Jim deserves a break, and this is gonna cover what's happening with our basketball coach, Juwan Howard, because they're having a lot of success over on the hardwood. And we're in March. So March Madness is officially here. And we're going to focus on the basketball team today. They had a big win last night over Cal U. And so we're going to talk about that. And we're gonna go from there. So guys, bear with me. I don't have my bullet points. So I have my talking points in here. So we're going to go through this that way. I know what I want to say, but excuse this if it's a little bit jumbled. I was traveling last weekend, and I'm doing a lot in my day job, and I'm just bear with me. I'm trying to get resituated. Before I jump in, I want to thank everyone. Folks are getting across the country, folks are getting vaccinated, and states like Texas and Florida and Mississippi are opening back up. So I'm saying that to say that this whole COVID thing, this was, when we look back at this will have been for a season. And, I've been working at home full time. So I've had lots of time to do YouTube. And you never know, when you're going to switch day jobs. This current day job allowed me to work at home. So I was able to do this on Fridays around lunchtime. When football season rolls back around, who knows? But I just want to thank everyone who has supported the channel and who has come through and hung out in the chat for these videos. So I just wanted to say thank you. In the fall, who knows? These things just could shift. For example, when football season starts right now, I've been doing these at lunchtime. I work at home on Fridays. This could shift to a Thursday night, for example, once football season starts. So let's see. Anyway, I want to say thank you. And I want to make this quick because I want to get in and get out in about an hour. I know Buckeye Alex says he has a meeting at 1 or something like that. So I don't want to, and I have other things to do today. So now that that's out of the way, yesterday, so the basketball team and the football team. So the basketball team is doing really well. And yesterday was the first matchup with Cal U. It was supposed to be earlier in the schedule, but due to COVID, a whole slew of games got canceled or postponed for the Wolverines. And so this game the first game, round 1, got moved to last night, which was March 4th. And then, so interestingly, round 2 is going to be is going to take place on Sunday up at the Breslin Center. So I think this is rare that you see these two games played back to back like this, but because of COVID, the first one got canceled. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep this to an hour. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at both teams' previous 2 games, and then I'm going to look at last night's game. But before I do, I'm going to tell you about something I thought about, 2 things I thought about yesterday. I actually finished working, and then I had to run out to the gym and then to get something to eat before the game came on. I wound up getting back after the game came on. But I was at the gym, doing the elliptical machine and looking at ESPN on the television there. And I remembered someone that I'd kind of forgotten about. And that person is none other than Dickie V. Oh, can you believe that, baby? Dipsy-doo, Dunkaroo. He's a PTPer. He's a primetime player. He's super scintillating and sensational. Yeah, so that's my Dickie V. So Dick Vitale, and I realized college basketball has changed, and so all the Chris Webbers and the Stephon Marbury's and the Allen Iversons, if they come in, they come in for 1 year and then they're gone, and that's changed the landscape. But one of the remaining treasures from that era is actually Dickie V. And so, well, there was something else I saw on ESPN. And I'm sure I've probably seen her before, and I've probably heard the name, but I kind of noticed Elle Duncan last night. I was at the gym, and I was kind of like, wow, who is that? She had on this green dress and heels just like this. And I was like, who is that? I thought she was Hispanic. I think she's biracial, but I was like, who is that? Turns out it's Elle Duncan. Here's another picture. Wow. Just wow. That's all I can say. Elle Duncan, everyone. I'm sure if you guys have been watching ESPN, you've probably seen her a million times, but I don't watch ESPN all the time during that 6 o'clock time slot. And all I could say is, wow, I was just kind of biting my finger on the elliptical machine, looking at that and just thinking, who is that? So Abdul Gaines put her in our group of pictures. Yep. Elle Duncan, yeah, man. She is. But hey, Abdul Gaines, I looked her up. I mean, not that a ESPN anchor would be interested in a regulatory scientist with a YouTube channel, but I did look her up. She's married. She's got a kid. She's 37. But she's looks good. Let's see. Elle is no German Shepherd. That's an inside joke, everyone. Okay, we have another. So Alex, Buckeye Alex says, "Don't start." Alex, don't be surprised if she starts showing up in the text group. Peanut Butter Hero says, "Look up Malika Andrews from ESPN. She's 25 and covers the NBA. She my age, so it's okay." And Alex says, "Stop it." All right. Okay. We have a whole we have several fans of ESPN's female reporters here. So Wolf 58 says, "I'm more of a Joy Taylor fan." Okay. All right. Well, hey guys. Well, I'm Team Elle Duncan. She's in there now with Naomi Osaka. All right. So I rediscovered Dickie V and I discovered Elle Duncan. Before we jump into the Michigan hoops, Joy Taylor is a snack. Okay. All right. Before we jump into the games, hey, let's take a look let's take a look at some of Dickie V's best work. Hold on. Fair use. Fair use. There's Channing Frye, Arizona. Fair use. Oh. John Calipari. Fair use. Ben Simmons. Fair use. Are you serious? Fair use. I think I haven't solved this, but I think sometimes if you play it too long, they'll get you. So I'll jump ahead and do one more snippet. There was one with Christian Laettner in here. Christian Leitner's from my area, Western New York. Give me a second. But Dickie V made that famous. Oh, are you kidding me? Are you serious? Give me a second. Yeah, look, I'll play one more minute. Fair use.
You can't be serious. Are you serious? Is he for real? Get him out of the league. He doesn't belong in this league. He's too good. David Stern, get him out of the league. But there is nowhere else to go.
A young Dwayne Wade. Ray Allen, the classic buzzer beater against Iverson's Georgetown. Fair use. Fair use. Fair use. Jim Calhoun. Fair use. Fair use. All right, Shaq, and this is the last one. Fair use. All right. I'll be lucky if this doesn't get a copyright strike, but it's probably public domain. So a couple things. So some classic footage in there. Christian Leitner, the Ray Allen buzzer beater against Georgetown in '96, the Allen Iverson Georgetown team. So before this year's tournament starts, I'm probably going to do a live stream. I've been thinking about this, talking about what your favorite NCAA tournament was, or what your favorite NCAA tournaments were. One of mine was definitely that 1996 tournament. In my opinion, that was the last great tournament because you had all those stars in there. All those guys went pro that year with Kobe Bryant, Ray Allen, Allen Iverson, John Wallace, Marcus Camby, Samaki Walker. Who else was in that class? Steve Nash was in that class. So look out for that. I'll probably do it on Selection Sunday. What was your favorite NCAA tournament or tournaments? So assuming that doesn't get copyright striked, which I hope it doesn't. So last night's battle for the state of Michigan. So I'm going to start with the two games leading up to the game, and then we'll look at the game. So for Michigan State, and I actually was watching this over my father's spot in upstate New York. Michigan State matched up with Maryland last Sunday. Still hard to believe that Maryland and Rutgers are in the Big Ten. Maryland, in my opinion, Maryland belongs in the ACC with North Carolina and Duke, but that's just me. I'm a purist. But I know why they made that decision. It was for money. So Michigan State lost handily to Maryland, 73-55. It was an ugly game for Michigan State. I hadn't followed them all year, but if you've played basketball and if you watch basketball, there are several ways to win, especially today where the players are so versatile. But you can see when an offense is in a rhythm. You know, you can see when the point guard is penetrating the ball and dishing it, or when one guy's playing isolation, or when they're going through a low post player. And I'm just going to say that Michigan State in that game against Maryland, they didn't seem to have much of a rhythm on offense. Tom Izzo's teams, I have the utmost respect for Coach Izzo. He's won one national title in East Lansing, and he's gotten his Spartan teams to the Final Four more than a couple of times. But that 2000 team with Mateen Cleaves and Morris Peterson and Charlie Bell and those guys, that was the one time he was able to seal the deal. His teams, they tend to play hard, they play defense, they rebound, and I think their success pretty much hinges on how their offense plays. And Sunday against Maryland, it was an ugly game. They couldn't seem to throw the ball in the ocean. And let's just take a look at the stats. Let's see. For Michigan State, they were led by Aaron Henry, Joshua Langford, and Joey Hauser with 12, 11, and 11 points. That's not a lot. Next up was Gabe Brown with 7, and then Malik Hall with 7. And Maryland was led by Eric Ayala. He had 22, Aaron Wiggins, 13, and Hakeem Hart with 10, and then Daryl Morsel with 7. So for whatever reason, and I haven't watched the Michigan State team this entire season, but they look offensively challenged. I have let's see, a comment from Wolf. I didn't think Kobe went to college, did he? No, Kobe didn't go to college, but he came out when all those guys came out. So he was in that same draft class with Allen Iverson and Ray Allen and Steve Nash and John Wallace and Samaki Walker and Marcus Camby and all those guys. So that's what I was saying there. Let's see. Dre says MSU does not have a point guard like the one they had last year. Yeah, that probably explains why they seem offensively challenged. They looked disjointed. The other thing is that when you're watching a team play offense in basketball, you're looking for and they kept I think Clark Kellogg and whoever else was commentating that game on Sunday against Maryland, they kept saying that Michigan State needs to drive the ball and then kick it out. Well, for good shots. And it seemed like Michigan State, they were just hoisting up 3-pointers at will. So they weren't waiting for the ball to go into the paint, to collapse the defense, and then to kick it back out. They were just whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And when you're playing, when you're trying to execute an offense in basketball, the ball movement matters. Unless you have Kobe Bryant, Abdul Gaines, you out there, unless you have Kobe Bryant on your team. Abdul Gaines goes hard for the Lakers. But unless that ball is going from side to side and multiple hands are touching it, you're not going to create good shots for the rest of your teammates. So, and it just looked like Michigan State wasn't doing that. They were just either just putting their heads down and just driving the ball in, or some of the guys were just hoisting the 3-pointers up at will. Of course, Tom Izzo, he's one of those old grizzly veteran coaches. He's on the sidelines just yelling and, putting on his little drama for his players. So they lost handily to Maryland. That's what I'm trying to say. Let's see. Dre says KG was in the draft class, right? No, KG actually came out before Kobe, I believe. Yeah, because Kobe and Jermaine O'Neal were same year. So KD came out with Antonio McDyess and Joe Smith a few years earlier. Yeah. Alex says, I don't think so. Yep. Yeah, KG came out in 95. Kobe came out in 96. Yep. So KG came out of Admiral Farragut. He's from South Carolina, but he got into some trouble in South Carolina, and he wound up in Chicago, and he graduated from Admiral Farragut High School in Chicago. I don't know. I think it was something related to violence, some sort of teen violence, which is similarly, which is what happened to Allen Iverson with the bowling alley incident. Okay, so that was the Michigan State-Maryland game. Let me stop that. And then let's see what happened to the Wolverines prior to last night's matchup with Cal U. Also, if anyone wants to make drop something in the tip jar, that information is below as well. So and I didn't watch this game against Illinois. So a few days ago, our beloved Maize and Blue hosted the Illini, the Fighting Illini. And by the way, that they used to show what the Fighting Illini is. It's a Native American mascot. I don't think they should have done away with all the mascots, but we're in a politically correct culture now, so you can't have Washington Redskins and Fighting Illini and Cleveland Indians, and I think we still have the Florida State Seminoles, and we might have the Utah Utes, but you don't have any more St. John's Redmen. There was a point where you had the St. John's Redmen, and now they're the St. John's Red Storm. But we're just in that era now. Anyway, so Illinois came in and laid the smackdown on Michigan, 76-53. It's hard to keep a group of youngsters focused all the time. Illinois has something to prove. Illinois is actually looking at this. They're ranked number 4. So the Big Ten is really killing it this year. So Illinois won 76-53. Let's take a look at what the scoring outputs were. It looks like, Illinois, they won both halves, 33-22 and then 43-31. Illinois got their high score was Trent Frazier with 22. He was followed by Andre Curbelo with 17. And next was Kofi Cockburn with 12. So they had 3 double-digit scorers. So let's now see how the Wolverines did. Wow. So the Wolverines' high scorer was Eli Brooks with 11 points. And then no one else got into double figures. The next highest score was Austin Davis. And he was followed by Isaiah Livers with 7 points. And then Hunter Dickinson only scored 6. So again, I don't know. I didn't watch the game. You guys can let me know right there in the chat. Did the Wolverines just come out flat? Or was it a matter of Illinois had the master game plan to shut them down? So one of the things I think Dickie V pointed out in his pregame discussion with L. Duncan was that Michigan State is unfortunately going to catch a Michigan team with a chip on its shoulder. So that's in large part what probably happened last night, was that Michigan State was already offensively challenged and having their struggles. Dre said they don't have a point guard, but also after an embarrassing loss like this against Illinois, they probably got Michigan's best punch. Let me look at my chat section here. What's going on, Yakov22? Thanks for coming out. Dre says, I'll kick Illinois kicked our, yep. And then Abdul Gain says, boo, all University of Illinois athletics. Okay. So that is the lead into last night's game. Let's see, we're at about 30 minutes. So let's take a look at last night's game. And by the way, the Big Ten is supposed to get 7 teams in. I think Michigan State is a bubble team. They're borderline, but I keep hearing that the Big Ten is going to get 7 teams in. And guys, the other thing I realized the other day was that the cool thing about March Madness is that literally, yeah, I guess you could argue that the tournament starts even in the conference tournaments, because in theory, a team could go all the way through their conference tournament and win and play their way in. So the NCAA tournament actually arguably starts before the official 68-team field is assembled. Similar to the way in college football, every week matters. Every week you're arguably playing your way into now the college football playoff. Years ago, it was the BCS, but arguably the national championship is being decided every single week. So the entire March Madness arguably starts when the conference tournaments start. Let's see. Dre said Illinois had a better game plan, and we planned for their star player who did not play. Wolf says Illinois basketball was the bomb in the 80s. Yep. You know what's interesting about that is that how many of you guys have watched the documentary Benji? And I'll probably do a pre-record on Benji Wilson at some point. It's a sad story, but he was the number one high school player in America in 1983 when MJ, Abdul Gaines' favorite all-time basketball player. MJ's first 1 or 2 years in Chicago, Benji Wilson was playing at Simeon Vocational, which also produced Derrick Rose, Jabari Parker. I feel like there were some other players Simeon produced. But Simeon was a basketball factory right there in Chicago. And number 25, Benji Wilson, played for them. And I'm just saying this to say that he would have likely gone to Illinois to play with players like Nick Anderson and Kendall Gill. And who was the other? Kenny Battle. I think Kenny Battle went to Illinois as well. And they called themselves the Flying Illini. Well, Benji Wilson would have been part of that group as well had he chosen Illinois. And he probably would have chosen Illinois as well. So yes, they were a force to be reckoned with in the 80s. Alex says 7 teams in the top 25. Wolf 58 says Illinois basketball was the bomb in the 90s. Yeah, they also... If you know who the players were in the 90s, let me know right there in the chat. I know in the late 90s or in the early 2000s, they had D. Brown and James... Harold Dean, Curtis Staples, those guys. No. Harold Dean was at Illinois. Curtis Staples, that was Virginia. They were at Virginia. Illinois had it was a point guard. I remember the guy's name, light-skinned guy. Illinois had if you guys know in the chat, let me know who. I know Illinois had a really good point guard. He was married to one of the basketball wives. Williams. Was it Williams? It was another point guard. Anyway, so Illinois has had a good run over the years. Give me a second. This is killing me. www.google. Illinois basketball 19. I think it was Juwan Garris. Yes, it was Juwan Garris. Juwan Garris was playing basketball for them. So Illinois has had a good team throughout. Oh, we got the Jaguar podcast. What's going on, Andy? Everyone, shout out to the Jaguar podcast. We're gonna join forces again at some point and talk some NFL draft. We have to see who actually is going to be the number one pick. Is it Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence? I think Justin has dropped in the draft board down to number 5, and some SEC quarterbacks have gone over him. Abdul Gaines was ranting about that the other day. But thank you for stopping through. Andy, if you guys haven't subbed the Jaguar podcast, please go over there and sub. Andy came over and we did a broadcast about a month ago. Alex came in, and Alex is down in Jacksonville as well. So the sports world is small. Okay, but anyway, for Illinois, I was thinking about Juwan Garris, and then Frank Williams came after him, and they had some killer squads at Illinois. So let's look at last night's game with AD says, it's not even close, my friend. I think he's talking about the NFL draft and who should be the number 1 pick and whether or not Justin was justified in dropping down to number 5. Andy says, thank you, sir. It was a blast. Buckeye Alex says, agreed. Okay, let's take a quick look at last night's game. And because I was at the gym and I was getting dinner and more eye ointment from CVS, I actually missed the tip-off. But based upon the rankings and how things have gone for these two teams, the outcome is what was expected. And that is the wrong game. Give me a second. Illinois versus Michigan. There it is. It's at the bottom. What's up, Alex, from the Jaguar podcast? All right. So Michigan, when I walked in and hurried in and turned my remote control on, Michigan was leading by about 10 to 12 points. And so this is the final score. Michigan won 69-50. So they won by almost 20 points. They may have gone up, I think, by more than that at some point. Michigan won that first half 39-28. And then we won the second half 30-22. And the game pretty much looked like what I described for last Sunday's Michigan State-Maryland game. Michigan State, it looks like they have athletes and it looks like they have bodies, but on offense, they just look a little bit, I'll just use the word disjointed. In terms of, let's see, just watching the show unfold in Jacksonville, LOL. Dre says Michigan State shot 0 for 9 from threes. Alex says it was over in the first half. Yeah. So in terms of the scoring totals, let's take a look here. Let's see. If you're new coming in, please click that like button for the purposes of engagement. Let's see. So for Michigan State, wow. See, this is what I was talking about. They only had one double-digit scorer, which was 14 points, and that was those are from Aaron Henry. The rest of them, yeah, this is you're not going to beat the number 2 team in the nation playing like this. So it'll be interesting to see on Sunday if they're able to put something together. So for Michigan, and I think last night was quote-unquote senior night because they brought the senior players, Eli Brooks and Isaiah Livers, and there was another kid. I think it was, let's take a look at the kid's name. Austin Davis. They brought all those kids off one by one towards the end of the game. So I think last night is what would have been senior night. So Michigan got 19 points from Franz Wagner. I hope that kid stays his entire 4 years. He's a gamer. He's versatile. He can shoot it. He can drive it. He can do everything. So I hope he stays the entire 4 years. He caught an elbow from Henry on his chin when he was defending Henry. Next was Hunter Dickinson with 14. And wow, yeah, we only got 2 double-digit scorers. Next was Isaiah Livers with 9 points, and then Mike Smith with 9 points, and then Eli Brooks with 9 points, and then Brandon Johnson with 6. So it'll be interesting to see once you get into the NCAA tournament if this type of point production will get it done against some of the teams from the other conferences, because we know that it's all, most sports and athletics are about matchups, but basketball is definitely all about matchups. And in the NCAA tournament, if you get caught in the wrong game with the wrong opponent who's tailor-made for you, or an opponent that has caught fire on that particular day, you just have to lose one game and you're out of the dance. So let me take a look at what Alex said. LOL. Oh, no. Oh, I know. I'm not enjoying it. Okay, who was the best rebounder for Michigan? Livers. It's got to be Livers or Dickinson. Let's see. Dre says Wagner is leaving this year. Okay, wow. So according to Dre, we're only going to have Franz Wagner for 1 year, or Dickinson. Let's see. 9 minutes. Alex, if you want to come up and give some commentary on the game, I'm going to drop the link right now. I know Alex has to run at 1. And I'm going to rock out for maybe about 20 more minutes. But I'm going to take a look at the stats here for that question. Rebounding. Let's see. So in terms of total rebounds, we out-rebounded the Spartans 34-28. That's not a big difference. Let me go back to the individual players. Okay, that's taking me to his bio. I'm not going to sift through all that information to see what his individual stats were for that game. Let me see. No, I can't go to it. Okay, but we basically, let's see, in overall rebounding, we beat them 34-28. We led them 34-28. They led us in offensive rebounds. We led in assists. They led in blocks. Steals were pretty even, and turnovers were pretty even. What's going on, Alex?
How's it going, man?
Good, yourself?
Busy day. Busy day.
Yep, I hear you.
Yeah. So good game last night. Unfortunately, my guys weren't able to pull it out this year, but big win against Sparty. Sparty's having a down year. They definitely don't necessarily have the point guard play that they did, in prior years past. I find something interesting that you bring up, that 2000 Mateen Cleaves, Charlie Bell, Hudson,
Morris Peterson. Yep.
Mo Pete. That team is the only Tom Izzo team that has had 3 guards that played in the NBA all at the same time.
Oh, wow.
It's the only team he's ever had. So typically, if you have 3 guys that, especially 3 guards that are talented enough to play in the league, you're typically going to make a Final Four. One thing I noticed about Tom Izzo teams is that he struggles getting really good wings and guards at the same time. He either has one or the other. He doesn't necessarily always have both. And he's really good at getting big guys, forwards, power forwards, centers. He's really good at getting those guys. I mean, we've seen a handful of them, but the actual, guards themselves don't necessarily translate to the NBA game. So, there's that piece of it. In regards to the game last night, I definitely think they're overmatched. I did see something interesting that I thought I saw in the Ohio State game, but then it definitely proved itself in the Michigan game, where they have trouble with wings that are really athletic. When they go to zone, they just have, it's easy for wings to penetrate their zone, which is not typically supposed to happen. Now, they did make an adjustment in the second half. I mean, Henry was just killing them off the drive. I mean, he was basically jabbing from 3-point line and just 2 dribbles and he's at the rim scoring. And then, they definitely made an adjustment. So, but I mean, if they didn't, he could have had 40. I mean, he was incredible last night. So
you're saying Michigan struggles with wing players?
I think they struggle with really athletic wing players. So I think Henry is definitely, I haven't looked, but I definitely think he's an NBA talent.
Yep.
I mean, he's really good. I've seen him play a couple times. He's pretty good. I just don't think they had somebody consistently that could stay in front of him. And that tends to be a problem. So, if you get a, the NCAA tournament is all about guard play at the end of the day. Like, bigs don't win tournaments, guards win tournaments.
Interesting.
So, I mean, but Michigan has the perfect inside-out combo. I mean, they can beat you, and I've said this before, they can beat you any way possible. They can play every style of basketball. They can slow it down. They can shoot the three. They can go inside. They can play mid-range. They can play two-man game. I mean, you can't zone them. You know, you can't man-to-man them. You can't box them on them. Like, there's nothing you can do with this team. There's nothing you can do with them. They're that good. And they're just, you know, they're not one of the best teams I've ever seen, but from probably 1 to 10, they are very, very deep. They're really deep from 1 to 10. So they're one of the deeper teams that I've seen in a long time.
Okay. Well, so it'll be interesting to see once the big dance unfolds if any of the other teams from the other conferences exploit that weakness. Yeah.
I mean, you kind of look at they haven't been able to yet. So one of the interesting things about especially Michigan, you know, they're playing in the best conference in the country. Hey, like it's not even close. You know, the Big Ten has 7 teams in the top 25. And then there are some bubble teams that might, you know, win some games in the conference tournament that might have a chance to get in. So they might get in, you know, maybe 8 or 9 teams. It's possible, but they're definitely getting in 7 for sure because they have 7 in the top 25. So that's pretty certain. You know, the team, you know, and they have playing against the best teams in the country that are ranked in the top 25. I mean, they only have 2 losses. So they've only been exposed technically twice. And I think the Illinois game was kind of an outlier, in my opinion. When they won the Ohio State game, they knew they were going to win the conference. So, like that Ohio State game if it would have went another way, they would have been in danger of not necessarily winning the conference. And you kind of see how that goes. Like Ohio State lost that game, and they haven't won a game since. You know, Michigan won that game, and they're like, okay, we're in the driver's seat. We take our foot off the gas and ran into Illinois, and Illinois ran, you know, Illinois is no slouch. I mean, they're, you know, number 4 in the country. So, you know, with that being said, you know, even though they're number 4 in the country, they still have 6 losses. Michigan only has 2, so they were in control of their own destiny at the end of the day. So, and it's good to take a loss, you know, before the tournament. There's nothing wrong with that. So I'm curious to see how they play in the Big Ten tournament, and then, you know, see where their seeding is. So they're going to be a 1 seed no matter what happens at this point. So, you know, they've done the work. They've done the groundwork. So congratulations to Juwan, who I'm a huge fan of. Huge fan of Juwan Howard. So congratulations to them and the that team up north. Yeah.
All right. Well, on behalf of Juwan,
and that it pains me to say that, by the way. It pains me to say that.
On behalf of Juwan, thank you, Alex. Yeah, but you're right on several things, as always. That a loss can sometimes be a good thing. I was thinking the other day about that Kentucky team a couple of years ago with the twins, the Harris twins, and Poitras, and they got all the way to the Final Four undefeated, and they lost to Wisconsin in there. So it steadily builds. Yeah, the higher the wave goes, it steadily builds.
Frank Kaminsky and
Sam Decker.
And Sam Decker, who's never.
Yo, your sound?
I'll speak with you soon.
Okay. Well, all right. Okay, he has to go. But I think what Alex was going to say. Hold on, everyone. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Okay, so what I think what he was going to say was that, yeah, we haven't heard from Sam Decker since Sam Decker got drafted. We haven't heard from him since in the NBA. And he was a talented big man, versatile, could shoot it, could handle the ball a little bit, but it looks like his one claim to fame may be helping Frank Kaminsky upset that mighty Kentucky team. And at that point, when a team is undefeated, going that deep, and they only need to close the deal with 2 more games, you're rooting for them. I was rooting for them, and I was disappointed. We were at Buffalo Wild Wings watching that game. Similar thing to the those Patriots that lost to those New York Giants with Randy Moss. It's hard to go undefeated. Let me look at the comments here. We're going to go for about 9 more minutes, guys, because I just got a instant message that I need to get to for my 9 to 5. So Dre says, our issue has always been good guard play from other teams like Illinois, OSU, Louisville, and Villanova. Yep, there was a noticeable difference when we matched up against both Louisville and Villanova, though we were in it against Louisville. We just needed a few more of those shots to fall, and it would have helped if Spike Albrecht's hot streak continued into that second half. But definitely there was a noticeable difference against the Villanova team. By the way, good luck to what's the kid's name? Austin Gillespie. He tore his MCL for Villanova, so he's out. He's done. I think he was a senior. Always sad to see that happen to a senior. But that's sports, and that happens. Dre says, we did not take our foot off the gas against Illinois. They play better, and their plan was better, and their guard play is awesome. The Jaguar podcast, I think he's referring to Sam Decker. I'm not sure who Sam Decker got drafted by, but he did not make his mark in the NBA. I'll just say that. Let's see. Our issue has always been good guard play from other teams like Illinois. Yeah, I read this one. Did I hear Juwan Howard? Yeah, Andy. Yeah, Juwan Howard. He came back, and he's our head coach. If you're unfamiliar with what's going on in Big Ten sports, yeah, he's our head coach, which is interesting. Something Dick Vitale jokingly said, and I've presented what I wanted to present, guys. Some kind of we're gonna land the plane now. I'm gonna end in about 7 minutes, but Dick Vitale did say yesterday, jokingly, that if he was still at the University of Detroit when the Fab Five were in school, or when they were in high school, he would have gotten Chris Webber and Juwan Howard to come play for him at the University of Detroit versus them going to Ann Arbor, which is interesting. I don't know if he would have done that. There were, by the way, during the game, and Dickie V did commentate the game. I don't know if he was actually there in Ann Arbor or if he was doing it remotely. But since he is a senior citizen, but they had 5 cutouts last night in Ann Arbor of the Fab Five, which I thought was kind of cool, dressed in those uniforms. So those pictures must have been taken on that exact same night when the Fab Five took this picture, this iconic picture. I'm going to go back to the comment section here. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's definitely awesome when the alumni come back. I think Chris Webber, because of the Ed Martin scandal and because of falling out with Jalen Rose, I think Chris and Jalen have fallen out and they're not talking. I don't know if they're talking now, but there was a bit of, I think during the trial, the Ed Martin trial, Chris distanced himself from Ed Martin. And this is in the Fab Five documentary. Chris basically said, no, I don't know. I don't have anything to do with those guys. I don't know what Ed Martin and his son are talking about. And Jalen Rose basically has held Ed Martin up in high regard. And I remember in an interview, Jalen Rose said, when a lot of us inner city Detroit kids needed winter coats, Ed Martin brought us winter coats. Ed Martin gave us money. Ed Martin took care of a lot of us kids who didn't have anything. So Jalen Rose has a loyalty and an allegiance to the late Ed Martin, and Chris Webber basically tried to distance himself from Ed Martin. And so I think they're still at odds about that. But interestingly, old khaki pants Jimbo, prior to one of the games, maybe 1 or 2 years ago, I think it might have been during the Revenge Tour season, Jimbo got Chris to come back for one of the football games, and Chris was actually down there on the field prior to kickoff. So I don't know, with Juwan now being the head coach, I don't know what Chris's relationship is with the athletic department and the university as a whole. But certainly with Juwan Howard being the coach, hopefully Chris will be able to come home some more at some point. Let's see. Abdul Gaines says, I know Juwan played for the Wizards. Yes, Juwan played for the Wizards. And then Pat Riley tried to get him down with his Miami Heat teams. I think David Stern put the kibosh on that. Abdul Gaines, much the same way that David Stern put the kibosh on Chris Paul going out to the Lakers to play with Kobe Bryant. So David Stern had his fingers in a lot of NBA trades and free agency signings. Let's see. And then Juwan went and played for Dallas. I remember, speaking of Abdul Gaines and the Lakers, Juwan Howard signed with Dallas, and San Antonio had a loaded team that year with Tony Parker was the point guard, I believe, and then Derek Anderson, Kentucky's Derek Anderson, was playing 2 guard for them. They had a loaded team, and Juwan Howard, Derek Anderson went up for a layup, and Juwan Howard gave him a hard foul, and Derek Anderson dislocated his shoulder. And so then San Antonio was unable to match up with Abdul Gaines' Lakers at full strength. And I was rooting for the Spurs that year. And so for that stretch of time, I did not like Juwan Howard very much. Because Abdul Gaines, would the Lakers have won that title if San Antonio was 100% healthy? We'll never know. But certainly the Derek Anderson dislocated shoulder, thanks to Juwan Howard's hard foul, was significant. And then Juwan ended his career with the Miami Heat. He won a ring with LeBron and Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh and those guys. Wolf says, has Juwan Howard ever not been paid for basketball while at Michigan? You know what? I don't think Juwan took money. His name was never implicated in it. Jalen's name was never implicated in it. Neither was Jimmy or Ray's. So I don't think Juwan was a part of the group that took money. And they all, which is interesting because they all had to take the heat in terms of taking those banners down for Chris taking the money. Abdul Gaines is laughing at Wolf 58 that the Flintstones, I think that might be the Flintstones comment. Abdul Gaines says Vital was probably at home calling the game. The last game I saw him call, he was at home. Dre says 2016. So that was the game when Chris Webber came back to the big house. I think it was 2016 when Jim had Webber there. Wolf says, honestly, I thought Vital. Oh, all right, Wolf, don't jinx him. He's one of our last college basketball treasures. Don't jinx him. But he's still upright. Thank God. Abdul Gaines says, C-Web did tweet his congratulations to Juwan and the Wolverines last night for winning the Big Ten. Oh, yeah, that's right. Thank you, Abdul. They won the Big Ten regular season title. So now they have to try to win the Big Ten tournament, which I think is always tricky. That's always tricky for teams because the question is, you've already won your Big Ten title in the regular season. You're ranked in the top 4. You're probably going to get a number 1 seed in one of the regions. Should you try to play through your conference tournament full strength to win that? Because we know what happened to Kenyon Martin. I'm going to finish reading Abdul Gaines' comment here, and then I'm going to get to these last comments, and then I'm going to jump off because I have something else to do. C-Web did tweet his congratulations to Juwan and the Wolverines last night for winning the Big Ten title. I believe that hurt feelings amongst the Fab Five will be fully healed sooner than later. He says, of course, you rooted for San Antonio. Well, this was before I knew that you were such an avid Laker fan, but I know now, and I'm still rooting for the Clippers. Andy says, great stream, bro. Got to bounce. Have a good weekend. Thank you for coming through, Andrew. So going back to this comment, and I'm going to end because I have to go too. It'll be interesting to see if the Wolverines try to play through to win the Big Ten tournament. Obviously, you want to keep that momentum going. But if you go back to I think it was the 2000 season, Bob Huggins' Cincinnati Bearcats, they held the number one ranking for most of that season. And they had Kenyon Martin. Kenyon Martin went number one that season. And it was in their conference tournament when he broke his leg. And I think the committee still rewarded Cincinnati with that number one seed, but clearly they weren't the same team without Kenyon Martin. So I'm saying this to say that I think that college coaches who are highly ranked and who essentially have nothing to play for in terms of winning their conference tournament, should they go ahead and put all their horses out there to try to win their conference tournament and risk injuring one of their top guys. Michigan can't afford to lose Hunter Dickinson. Michigan can't afford to lose Isaiah Livers or Eli Brooks or Franz Wagner. So let's see what Juwan Howard does. But before the conference tournament starts, there's a round 2 between Michigan and Michigan State on Sunday up at the Breslin Center. All right, guys, I see my attendance is trickling down. I have 3 left. I have to answer a little call here and solve an issue with a coworker. So thank you to everyone who came through. That's a recap of last night's game. If you're watching this on the playback, please like, share, and subscribe if you want to leave something in the tip jar. That information is below this playback. Go Blue. Thank you all for coming out. Enjoy your weekends. And as always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Take care, and I'll talk to you the next time. Bye-bye.